Welcome, everyone, to People on Dating. I'm your host, Will Morales. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this podcast is about the ups and downs of dating and how to navigate through it. Today, my guest is Dr. Joli Hamilton. Dr. Joli Hamilton is a relationship coach for couples who color outside the lines. She's a research psychologist, TEDx speaker, best-selling author, and ASEC certified sex educator. Joli also co-hosts a Project Relationship podcast with her anchor partner, Ken. Joli's been featured in New York Times, Vogue, NPR, and The Atlantic. Well, Dr. Joli Hamilton, thank you so much for being on People on Dating. How are you?
I am great. Thanks for having me.
No, it's my pleasure. So, Dr. Joli, tell us, what was your journey like to become a best-selling author, TEDx speaker, love and sex expert? What was that journey like? I know it's a loaded question. Maybe you could give us a brief version of it.
I'll give you the brief version, which is that I learned the hard way. I made lots and lots and lots and lots of mistakes, but I made one very specific mistake in my life that invited jealousy right into my life and kind of messed up everything. And I happen to be the kind of person who likes to learn, like really dive in hard. So I went back to school, and in the midst of a lot of heartbreak and confusion, I landed myself a set of 4 psychology degrees and a bunch of certificates and learned my way out of the problem.
No, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. So today's topic is a great one, the deep wisdom of jealousy. I think if you don't care about your partner, or if you don't show some type of jealousy, maybe, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I know I keep it inside. But boy, the wheels and the stomach is churning if I'm seeing someone that I like talk to someone else. And what is
Yeah.
the cause of that? Is it
Yeah.
lack of abundance mentality, or we definitely have deep feelings for this person that we're with?
Yeah. So the thing about jealousy, I- it's there for a reason.
Mhm.
It's not an accident. It served a purpose, a really important purpose. In fact, there are a couple of
Mhm.
really predominant theories about why jealousy why it exists in humans. One of them is about mate protection. About I get jealous because I want to protect my progeny, really my ability to reproduce. And
Right.
I think that's fine. And insofar as it goes, sure. Like when we're talking about our procreative capacity, we do have some jealousy that shows up there. However, there's another reason that's been posited by researchers and has been well documented that I think all of us can relate to. And that is that jealousy, it shows up in infants. It shows up
Mhm.
as early as 5 or 6 months old. And it's there because we need our primary caregiver. We need them for life. We need them in order to have warmth and food and nourishment and safety. And
Right.
so we are alert to any sign of interruption by that perceived interrupter, anyone who might break our bond with our primary caregiver. Now we're a baby. This is necessary and natural. And yet, eventually a sibling shows up, or another parent shows up and interrupts that connection. We fuss, we cry, and
Mm.
it served such an important feature in our life. But then most of us were taught really nothing about what to do with it. We were just told, well, you got to share people's attention, or you got to share your toys, you got to share everything. And then fast forward to when we're in our loving relationships, we're in our romantic relationships, and we have these same sort of attachment feelings that come up, but now they're in a romantic setting. But it wakes up that exact same sensation of, I must have you, I must have your attention, or
Mm.
I will die. So we're in a bit of a quandary because jealousy is alerting us to something really important, which is that our connection is valued. But when we act out, it's often in a very infantile, toddler-esque sort of way because we didn't really learn what we should do to maintain our bonds and connections without acting out in jealousy. Jealousy
Yeah,
wakes up the fire.
yeah, no, I definitely get that. So in a situation where I'm with this woman and she's talking to someone, and all of a sudden I'm like, well, what the hell is going on here? As a man or as a woman or partner, whatever partner you may have, do you walk away just for at least an instant, make yourself busy? If you're in a setting where it's a business networking event, Do you just start mingling? What some of the steps that we could take
Oh,
to make
it's
sure that it
that we
doesn't take
don't
over? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That
that
we
we
don't
don't
act
just lose
infantile.
ourselves.
Yeah.
Exactly. It so depends on context. Many people only experience jealousy when there's like a direct threat. They notice like a direct threat to their romantic or sexual connection. Those are the two
Right.
big places. Sometimes it's emotional connection. And in that case, context matters. Yes, if I'm at a networking event, that's going to feel a little bit different than if I'm at like a little bit of a rowdy party or I'm in a crowded bar, right? So the
Right.
context is going to matter, and what steps I want to take will matter to a degree. However, um, navigating jealousy is a really personal event. It
Mm,
While jealousy inspires us to look out toward our partner and toward the perceived interrupter, because there's always a triangle in jealousy. There's me, I'm jealous, my
mm,
beloved, and the perceived interrupter. And jealousy inspires us to look out and say, you change your behavior so that I will feel different inside. Please, please change your behavior. However, jealousy, just like anger and sadness and other big emotions, it's mine, right? It's my emotion. And so the opportunity is there for me to first just notice that jealousy is present.
mm,
And and really the people when I do qualitative research on jealousy, and when people are dealing with it really well, one of the things they have learned to do is notice the sensations, their literal embodied sensations of jealousy. Do you get a knot in your stomach? Do you get constriction in your throat? Do you feel heat? Do you feel like you want to run away? What are you feeling? So that they notice their jealousy showing up really early, so that they can do just what you said, so that they can take a deep breath, so that they can perhaps distract themselves a little bit, so that they
right.
can evaluate the setting and see, is this actually a threat? Or is this me going into a threat response based on my own history? Because those are two different
Mm,
things. And sorting that out lets you deal more effectively with jealousy and use it for what it's designed for, right? It's designed to tell you that you care about a person. Great. Let's care about them then.
right, right. Wow, that was I like about our talking about our emotions, because that's what it is deep down. Like I said, I've been there where I was with this woman and we were at a networking event, and in fact we weren't even dating yet. And I'm telling you, and we're talking with Dr. Joli Hamilton, and Dr. Joli, I my stomach turned into a nine. I'm like, I'm not even dating this woman, and it's
Mm-hmm.
weird. So I had to distract myself, and then I realized that I liked her, but I also said to myself, okay, is it because you really care about her, or is it more that you think there's no other fish in the sea? Does that come into play where we feel that this might be the only girl we could, or partner that we can get, or in our mind, because we don't have that abundance mentality that it could be someone else out there? Are we restricting ourselves when we talk to ourselves that way? If that makes sense.
Many times people experience jealousy when they are already feeling a lot of other stressors, right? Like, so if I am in a space where I'm feeling scarcity in my life, maybe I'm struggling with my dating, or maybe I'm just feeling lonely, or perhaps I've just recently experienced a breakup due to
Mm,
actual interruptions or affairs, or perhaps I've just never really dealt with jealousy, but it's always kind of lurked around the corners. Yeah, yeah, we can absolutely get ourselves into a position where we have we are very susceptible to jealousy.
mm,
We are not holding ourselves in like really healthy, yummy emotional space around our relating. However, jealousy pops up in all kinds of relationships, even when people feel very secure. Jealousy is incredibly strong. So
right.
sometimes it just catches you unaware. Sometimes you're just like, whoo, and you're in the tidal wave of it. If you experience jealousy and you can pause for a moment and say, oh, that's jealousy. Okay. So many people miss this step because they instantly also feel shame. They feel like they shouldn't feel jealous because it's just unbecoming, or they feel like it means something's wrong with the relationship, or if they feel like if it's too big or too small, right? Like there's this judgment around how jealousy should be, and
Right.
I would ask you to relax your grip a little bit. And when it shows up, be with the jealousy. Allow yourself to notice it long enough to say, oh, what? what does it have to tell me in the context of my life right now? Because, for instance, yeah, if you're currently not having an abundance mindset, if you're feeling like the dating pool is really limited for you and you're feeling
Mm.
really scared, or you've just, locked down a partner, right? You've just started this relationship, or
Right.
you're feeling risk, right? Yeah, that's all going to leave you with a higher threat state, right? Your threat bucket. Imagine you can tolerate a certain amount of threat. Your nervous system is going to be operating right at the limits of that threat bucket. You throw one more thing, you go to a party and now you see your partner super engaged in a yummy conversation across the room. Could be completely benign. They could be talking about physics. Doesn't like it's all fine. And yet
Yeah.
all the alarm bells are going off.
Mm.
We don't know enough in that moment of jealousy to decide exactly what it means about our relationship. And in fact, most people experience the most relief of their jealous suffering when they start to understand that the story they tell themselves about the jealousy is causing far more of the problems than the jealousy itself.
Wow. We tell ourselves, yeah, I definitely agree because I've done that before where I said, oh my God, this person doesn't like me. So, so she's talking to them or that guy, maybe he has something I don't, whatever. Yeah. Oh, and
Yep.
I love that. We tell ourselves a story. Okay. Now let's go on the opposite end. Is it possible that there is no jealousy in your being, or is it that maybe this person is not the one for you? Again, did my question make sense? Where
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, so go ahead. Yeah, what
Yeah.
do you say to that?
So sometimes people are what I call low jealousy.
Okay.
They do not experience a lot of jealousy. I happen to be married to someone who's very, very low jealousy. He just doesn't experience a lot
Mm,
of that. And I'm non-monogamous, so he is given opportunities to experience the setting for jealousy, and yet he's very low jealous. So it would be easy for me to imagine that something's wrong with our relationship, or that he doesn't love me, or he doesn't care because he's not jealous. But in fact, I've known him my whole life. And yeah, this is just him. That's his setting. He's not a high jealousy person. However, a lot of people, again, they tell themselves a story. What does jealousy mean? A common thread will be people imagine that there should be the right amount of jealousy. And if you don't have the right amount, it means you're not cared about enough. If
mm,
you have too much, it means that your partner's too possessive, right? So there's this Goldilocks amount of jealousy that people desire.
yeah.
And everybody's setting is different because, in fact, there is no right amount or wrong amount. It's about what works for you and what you're able to talk about with your partner so that you can actively use jealousy to get to know each other better, because jealousy is an opportunity for intimacy if we choose to see it that way.
Okay. Wow. y- it's funny that you say that because again, where I've been out with some of my female friends, and even like that little tick, I get a little jealous, and I'm like, wait a minute, she's hanging out with him and not me. And then I realize, and it's funny, I realize the setting. I'm like, well, I'm not actually dating her, so I shouldn't even be this way. And then I just distract myself by walking around or whatever. So, Dr. Jolie, are there ways that if we find ourselves in a situation where whether it's a networking event or in a setting or in a party, whatever that may be, and we see or we feel a certain way that, oh, wait a minute, that person's talking to someone else, I'm starting to feel a certain way. Are there a couple of steps that we could do? I know we dove this
Yeah.
before. You got walking away. Is there anything else that we could do to distract ourselves? Talk to someone else? What can you give us
Well,
like maybe two,
so
three steps in your
yeah,
opinion?
so distraction is one method, but I would actually suggest that people walk through what I call the jealousy roadmap. And the
Mm.
jealousy roadmap is not super straightforward. It is a winding road, but it starts with noticing. First off, just notice that there's jealousy present. Second is name it. Name not only the jealousy, but figure out what other emotions has it brought along. Is your jealousy kind of possessive? Is it angry? Is it sad? Does it feel shameful? What's going on? Because most of us have skills already for dealing with difficult emotions. So
Mhm.
if, let's say, my jealousy comes along and it feels very angry, okay, now I need to use the tools I already use for other angry times. The jealousy doesn't change that. I still need to deal with my anger effectively, right?
Right, right.
If my jealousy tends to lead me down into despondency and sadness, okay, then I need to use my tools. In other words, I don't want to go grab a drink right then. Instead, I probably want to distract myself with some activity, with some upbeat, maybe like find somebody at the party who's making jokes and is hanging out and is like bringing nice positive energy. Pay attention to what emotional content your jealousy is bringing with it. And then from there, it's really, really easy for people to miss out on this storytelling piece that we've touched on. But if you're choosing distraction, okay, a lot of us struggle because we have these compulsive thoughts, right? Intrusive thoughts that pop up while we're trying to distract ourselves. So I would say that's a great moment to say, literally ask yourself the question out loud, even take yourself to the bathroom and say, what do I think this means? What is the story I'm telling myself right now about what this means about me as a person or about my relationship? Am I telling myself a story that I am not valuable, that I don't have what it takes, that I'll never find someone, that my partner's going to cheat on me? Like, what is the story? I absolutely encourage this to be a look yourself in the bathroom mirror kind of moment. Let yourself have that time, because most of the time we can also recognize that the story we're telling ourselves is only one shade of the truth. It's not that it's untrue, but it's only one little piece of the puzzle. And then from there, the fourth step is really important. It's about navigating your needs. A lot of times people imagine that they can't ask for what they need around jealousy because they can only imagine how they would be asking their partner to have no other contact with other people. But that's not realistic. Instead, it might be about wanting reassurance. Could you turn to a partner and say, I could use a reminder. I could use a reminder that we're good, we're solid. For whatever reason, I'm having this stuff bubble up. Could you just remind me? And I will say to my partner what I would like to hear from them. Could you remind me how strong we are together and that this is going to be okay? Or if I'm alone, can I say, hey, I have affirmations. I have positive affirmations I can say to myself. How can I remind myself that I am intrinsically valuable? So navigating your needs is so personal. And that's the step, I think, Will, where we're really getting into how do you need to be cared for in your jealousy? Distraction is one option, but there's actually a whole bunch of them. I actually like to use nervous system regulation techniques. That's a really effective way for me to work with jealousy because my body is on alert. And so that means my nervous system is all fired up. So what I need to do is help it re-soothe, right? I need to help myself come back into a regulated state. So I have specific techniques I use. Most people are familiar with using breath, return to your breath, slow your exhale down, elongate your exhale. But you can also do simple things like, doing a walk, or if you can, go outside and just walk around, walk the yard of wherever you are. Even just look out a window, simply looking at nature, right? Just allowing yourself a moment to remember that you are part of something bigger. Those things can soothe our nervous system and bring us back into a state where we can manage these awkward moments of jealousy.
Now, so let's say we do the nature walk, so to speak. But when our minds go racing, then oh my God, who she's talking to, what's happening now, whatever. Again, it's now, can our partner throw back at us, oh, you're just insecure. That's, he's just a friend of mine. I know him for a long time. I know him just as long as I know you. I know him long. I know him 30s, whatever it is. Now, if they throw that at you, that, oh, you know what, you're insecure. Whoa, wait a minute. Now to me, that elevates it even more, in my opinion. What do you say to that?
Oh, it's so difficult. The word insecure comes up so frequently around jealousy, but this is a polarization, right? Jealousy is when it's my emotion, so it's mine to work with. However, jealousy is a social emotion, which means it always happens in the context of relationships. It is an unkind thing to ever say to anyone, it's just jealousy. It's just it's so dismissive. It's just jealousy. Jealousy is like a tidal wave. It's an archetypal emotion. It's huge. And to dismiss it as being just insecure, well, how supportive is that to your partner? But this would be actually, to me, a much larger question to bring up in my relationship when I'm not feeling jealousy, when I'm feeling relatively secure, which is, okay, how do I find security? How do I receive a sense of security? What are my ways of feeling safe? And like, for instance, if I need to hear my partner say, I love you, we're solid. Yes, I'm going to go have that conversation and we're solid. This is good. Okay, great. Then ask for that need to be met. And if your partner won't meet it and just like says, you're just insecure, is that the relationship you want to be in? On the other hand, when we try to control our partners and don't allow them to have relationships with other people because we do feel insecure, that's problematic too, because in fact, it's unhealthy for anyone to be controlling their partner's connections to every other person. We get to have friendships, we get to have colleagues, and my jealousy being out of control is not a reason for my partner to curtail his life. So this is where it would be really, really smart to bring this up with your therapist, to bring this up with a counselor, with a coach, and say, I want to work on this. I want to proactively work on the fact that jealousy comes up for me and leaves me feeling insecure. And I would like to work on feeling secure in myself and communicating with my partner to make a more secure connection.
Wow. First of all, Dr. Joli, I want to thank you so much for being on People on Dating. I really appreciate that. So tell me more about any of the projects that you have going on, anything you want to promote, anything you want to talk about, because people need to know who you are. This is a great topic and a great subject. So please tell me anything that you want to promote, anything you're looking to do in the next couple of months.
Yeah, so it's a really fun topic. And the first thing I want to say is if anybody is looking to get that roadmap and just have it for the next time they're struggling with jealousy, you can go to listentojoli.com, listen to Joli, Joli.com, and you can grab that. I made a 20-page workbook that just like walks you through, okay, how would I walk through the jealousy roadmap, like if this is my struggle. And then I also talk about this topic all the time on TikTok and on Instagram. You can follow me at Dr. Joli _Hamilton on all the social media. And the thing that I do, Will, that I think is interesting to a lot of people is I work with people who are transitioning from monogamy to non-monogamy or learning how to date in the non-monogamous space. And the reason I mention that is it's coming up more and more in the dating world. And I'm talking about the fact that we all have to just get on board and like understand the language of non-monogamy, even if that's not the choice we're making.
Sure.
So yeah, I would encourage people to get curious and find out, because if you're out in the dating world, you're going to start seeing that, oh, I'm ENM, I'm CNM. You're going to see those things coming up. So feel free to follow me and learn along, even so that you just have the language to have these conversations with dating partners.
No, sounds good. Well, anyway, and I'll definitely put that in the show notes. Well, Dr. Joli, first of all, again, thank you so much for being on People on Dating. I really, really appreciate it.
It was great to be here. Thanks, Will.
Thank you. Bye-bye.